Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, I just wanted to step away from basketball for just a second. Um, I haven't really commented on the baby's comments because I didn't think there was anything constructive that I could add to the conversation at all. But I will respond to the apology that was just written up. Now, I've been paying attention to him, how he's been reacting to that backlash, what he's been posting, and basically his stance has been, uh, you know, against cancel culture in a sense against um, the motioning against him. He's like, yo, I didn't mean to offend nobody, but I'm not gonna stand off of what my intentions were. And that's essentially what I've taken from him personally. That's what I took. But the PR thing is basically saying, yo, hey, we sorry, we want to go and learn. Like basically the message is, I'm gonna go back and learn. You need to give me a chance to do that. People want to cancel me, but I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt the community. I didn't mean to offend. I just need to go somewhere and basically get my mind right. So stop trying to cancel me while I go do that. And my thing is, that doesn't sound like him at all. That sounds like a PR stance. It sounds like some people who are starting to lose money around him, are starting to take over. Like, look, you are doing damage. This ain't just about you. You got a bunch of people around you who are also losing money because of what are you doing here. So you go sit in the corner. We'll take it from here. That's what I think is happening right now, and I just find it to be a bit late. It's a bit late. You gotta step in sooner. You gotta take that guy phone immediately. As soon as he gets off the stage, he needs his PR people to have the hard talk with him about what this means for him contractually and what damage he can do going forward. You can't let it get to this point and then try to take over after he's done all this damage. It's too late. You know, he's already been canceled from what, 4 festivals, 3 festivals? I think I counted 3. So, that's all there is to it. My opinion, he has to absorb this. You know what time it is? Look at the clock. You know what time it is. You can't say what you said. Not in the form that you said it. Not to the people that you said it to. You're standing on stage. You just got to doing a performance, and you try to make a statement that shows the world exactly how ignorant you are. And you double down on that ignorance when you get the backlash for it, man. You self-destruct when you do that. Sometimes we stand on the wrong heels. When they say don't die on that hill, don't die on that hill. Unless you're ready to go all the way with it. And if you're going to go all the way with it, you got to know what comes with that. And I don't think that's the path he was trying to take his career. That's not who he's trying to be. So this is bad, man. This is bad for him. And that's that. The thing that disturbs me about the situation is, he's also been involved in some other things that have been pretty disturbing. And there were no backlash for those things. There was no concern for different things that he was involved in. So it's like, I understand that we're in a space where if you attack certain groups, you must be paid attention to because we're raising awareness. It's like, we're doing this, so why are you doing that? So I get that energy, but at some point you start to have a bit of a war, because I think there's another facet of people who are kind of tired of watching some think that they are in a space of importance to cancel others. Never mind for why. I just think that, like, the sentiment that I'm listening to and paying attention to, people are kind of tired of that. It's like, okay, yeah, we canceled this person, we canceled that person, but we're not canceling everybody for the same things. It's kind of like we're just picking out certain types of people, and if they do certain things, we cancel them. And so if you're not going to cancel everybody for the same stuff, or if we're only going to pay attention to certain things because of who they happen to and how they happen, as it pertains to just looking at the same instance somewhere else and saying nah, or saying the same things, rather keeping the same energy, it's going to be inconsistent to a lot of people who are watching on the sideline, and those people are starting to get frustrated. That's what I'm sensing. So I mentioned, I made a video about a week and a half ago thinking that in a space where I was thinking that cancel culture is harmful, and I do believe that it can be harmful. I still believe that. And then we're seeing in his statement, essentially he's saying, yo, yes, I need to go learn my lesson. let me get a chance to do that. So I understand that, and I think that's kind of what we need to be. We need to give people an opportunity for enlightenment. Sometimes when you try to cancel people or you dismiss them, what you miss is an opportunity to change their mind. What you miss is an opportunity to correct the behavior, and what you create is more resentment. Not only from them, but from people on the sidelines who may have the same issues they do, see things the same way they do, and know that they would be ridiculed the same way for their opinion. So are faced with having to either be quiet about it or face the possible consequences, just like the person they're viewing it. So that cancel culture makes a lot of people insecure. It makes them feel like you cancel me next. And so at the end of the day, I just feel like yes, do certain people need to be called out and held accountable for what it is they do, especially if they're in a position to influence others? Absolutely. We definitely need to have a portion of our minds focused on that kind of thing, to vet what it is our children are paying attention to vet what it is that we allow ourselves to be subjected to, and to keep everyone honest, to hold one another accountable just in general. But if we're not going to do it all the way across the board, if we're going to look at some people and say it's okay because they did that then, and we view them this way, but because we view this person another way, for whatever set of reasons, we're going to put a magnifying glass on that same type of mistake. If it were more consistent, I think you would get more solidarity. But at this point, we're seeing the inconsistencies. And quite frankly, to a person like myself who thinks the way I do, it makes you wonder if they're racially charged in some cases. Now, I know that that's not a popular thing to say, but I will show you the R. Kellys of the world and the babies of the world. It just seems like it's a different type of magnifying glass placed on people when they are of color and they do certain things. You think about certain people like, Woody Allen. Now, some of these other guys who they walk the streets now. You don't think nothing of their past and what they've done or what they should have been given the same energy to, just like some of the other people that we've mentioned or maybe didn't mention. All I'm saying is this: though that may not be the reality, because it can be perceived that way, you're going to have certain resentment for the notion of people being canceled, period, just from that perspective alone. And that comes in different forms. Not just from the black folks' perspective, but from a lot of people. They're like, yo, you canceling my favorite guy. Why are you canceling that person? I appreciate so much of what they've done. They made this one mistake, or they had this one opinion that you don't agree with. Now we must get rid of them. It's a lot of resentment that comes with that. They personalize that. So it's like, yo, at some point there's a reaction to all of this. We've gotten to a point where it's starting to get annoying to a lot of people. And I think the baby is going to be a line that is drawn in the sand between those who are tired of cancel culture and those who are in support of canceling the baby. I also think that there is a great deal of resistance coming from people who are perceived or labeled as homophobic against the LGBT community, if I'm saying that correctly. And I may not be, but that's what I think is happening here. You're starting to see some real resistance, some Trump-like resistance, if you know what I mean, until it gets to a point where a certain people have felt like they've been silent for a while and now they're ready to speak up. They're kind of sick of what they're seeing. And we have to face this. We have to have a conversation, just like we have to have a conversation about racism in America and in our world. We have to have a conversation of what homophobic people are thinking about, what's going on, how this is affecting the world, how people are being affected professionally, globally, by these different sentiments, and how to best move forward, because these conversations are kind of scurried away from. But when we see a person who we deem as homophobic, we attack. Boom, 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 get them out of here. No enlightenment, no understanding, no conclusion or position understood. It's just get them out of here because they're not thinking right. But when you ostracize people, one thing I know about, when you ostracize people, you push them to the side, you send them out, eventually they come together and they come back. It may take some time, but those people who've been outcasted, they form a group. And that group usually comes with resentment. That group usually comes with a fury. That group usually comes with a very calculated, long time sitting in bad, waiting, patient, just all of that built up frustration and agreement amongst one another to come back and take out that frustration on that group that they were once in disagreement with. It's not a disagreement no more. Now it's war. That's the energy that comes from ostracizing people and not allowing for enlightenment through conversation, through solidarity, through forgiveness in some cases, if the apology is offered. Now, if you have that conversation, can come to no conclusion, maybe you end up enemies anyway. But what you don't have is that festering, I hate them, but I haven't talked to them. I don't know what's going on with them, or I hate them and they don't accept me. And we have a perception of how that goes, and that avalanches in your mind, especially when people around you agree. All I'm saying is, racism can do that. Homophobia can do that. Any alternate opinion group can do that. When you ostracize them and not have a conversation, or not try to help, or not try to provide or promote healing. Because a lot of times people view things this way. They're racist, they're homophobic or whatever, because there's some hurt in there. There's some pain in there. There's some trauma in there. Some misguided nature in there. Being given the wrong seeds too early in life to where you view the world a certain way. But this is what happens though. Those people end up running into roadblocks because the world is not fit for them. Eventually they're going to get tired of running into roadblocks, and they're going to want to see what's on the other side of it. They're going to want to get outside of that space where they keep running into spaces where nobody accepts them because of how they think. Eventually they're going to be like, well, maybe what I'm thinking is not right. Maybe it's what I'm thinking and that needs to be adjusted so that the world around me can stop being so difficult to be in. That's what heals racism. That's what heals homophobia. It's not necessarily coming to a conclusion that the other people need to be seen a different way. It's about seeing how your life goes when you think this way all the time, and you run into so much hatred, so much resistance, so much that doesn't have to be, that you see others don't go through when they don't think that way. They're watching people like myself too, who have friends everywhere, who can shake hands with anybody. I'm not going through what they're going through. I don't have the guards up when I walk around people. I don't have people looking at me crazy because I don't put out that energy. Maybe they put out that energy because they were taught to, but the consequences of it are not cool. And the longer they live, they're going to long for something else. They're going to long for a relationship that maybe they haven't had a chance to have because of those different blocks that they have up against people for religious purposes, cultural purposes, what have you, racist purposes, homophobic purposes. It's a lot of things that go into that, but there's healing that needs to come from that, to go through that, and to run in them roadblocks. And then they run into that group that they hate, and that group sends them out into the exile. At what point do they ever reach enlightenment? At what point do they ever say, all right, no, folks ain't all that bad? They never get a chance to see that. You know what I'm saying? So at some point, that cancel culture does harm. It creates resentment. It creates groups that hate. It creates ostracizing environments for others to fester in hatred and come roaring back at some random moment. You don't want that. You don't want that. That's the same energy that has people rushing the damn Capitol. It's the exact same energy. Literally the same thing. I don't think we can ever see things the way others do. But what we can do is learn how to evolve in the environment of being around people who are different than us. Growing up in Los Angeles has let me understand that it is possible to be around people that are not like you, even if their differences are extreme. Growing up in Hollywood, I used to see stuff as a child that you see people dressing and walking and being and living in their truths in ways that you see today more commonly. But back then it was common for me because I'd see it all the time. Trans individuals sitting at Popeyes, I'd see them dudes 4 or 5 years old. You understand what I'm saying to you? It was normal to see that. It was normal to see people dressing all different ways and drugged out of their mind and from all over the world doing positive things too. The point is, a lot of people are from a place where they only see one another. They only see people that look like them. They only see people that think like them, and they never leave those environments. And because of it, they think of the world a certain way. And they take those ideals that help them survive in those areas, and they don't understand that those are not the world around them. That's not what makes it so that their life is of equality elsewhere. When they get outside of those environments, they don't know what the hell to do. Especially if they're given a lot of money, hence the baby. Not to say that I know where that man been or where he's from, but I know for a fact that he's in a whirlwind now. And maybe some of the things that he had in his household taught him to think this way. That he was on stage, he learned the things that he learned somewhere. What he was saying to y'all, he perceived it some way to be truth. That's why he said it to a bunch of people. If there's some enlightenment for him to receive, he ain't gonna get that by being ostracized. He ain't gonna get that by y'all taking his money out of his pocket. Now, not to say that he's any different than anybody else that's happened to, including people who would say something that opposes me, a racist even. And maybe I wouldn't take the same sentiment, so I'm not asking you to follow my logic. I'm just saying apply the thought. Make it somebody that you can relate to if you can't relate to the baby. I'm cool with that. If the baby says something that you can't get with, push them aside, but bring in somebody that you can. And to pretend that they've offended me. And then you see me pushing them away for their opinion that maybe you share, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't share their opinion, you just support them. Maybe you can't support them anymore, but you certainly don't want the offense to be more so than what it is they should be taking back for what it is that they've done. Especially for something that, because they have a good heart, they would be able to understand if it were explained to them in a way that they could see clearly. Now, I'm not saying I know that man's heart. I have no idea. But what I'm saying is, when you blanket everybody, you're definitely going to get some good hearts that you do this to. It's just going to happen. Not everybody has ill intentions. Some people just don't understand the landscape they're in. But if they were to understand it, they would respect it differently. Got to give somebody a chance. I don't know who you give that chance to, but we can't pick and choose who we do and who we don't. That's wrong, ain't it? I thought it was. So, hey, the baby said some stuff he shouldn't have said. Why did he say those things? None of our business. Everybody who feels offended has a right to feel offended. Everybody who perceived his words differently and is not offended, I hear you. Because what I heard up there was a man in a very weird way saying, respect yourself and practice safe sex. In a really, really messed up way. In a twisted way. And it's only twisted because of how people think where you come from. What's normal. And most importantly, what we consider not twisted out here. Which is foreign to him. Mind you, it's foreign to him. That's weird where he come from. What you're doing is strange. Where he come from, we love to respect everybody's differences except for the people who are next to us when it comes to something that we don't agree with. We will talk about how important it is to respect someone's something somewhere, to where they do something that's completely opposite of us. For example, maybe they worship cats or something. That's not what we do here. We love our cats, but we don't worship them. But we respect their right to do that, right? But we'll look at somebody right next to us and say, nah, we can't respect what he's doing. His position opposes mine. I can't. We love solidarity as it pertains to people far away as long as they stay over there. But that's not really how it works when you're in a melting pot, like America. It's not how it works. Sometimes people were just raised to hate other people. Sometimes people are just raised to not see things from a loving perspective. We got to find a way to coexist with these people just like they got to find a way to coexist with us. Otherwise, the extreme nature of that is just all-out war and nobody survives. So what is it going to be? Cancel culture is lazy-minded. It's lazy-minded in my opinion. They're just pushing people aside. You're not doing the critical thinking. You're not willing to have the tough conversations. You offended me. I want to look you in the eye and tell you did that shit. What you did wrong. Why you shouldn't see it that way. I want to hear your response. You ain't going to get none of that out of the baby. You tell him you can't go nowhere. Look, anywhere you try to get a bag, you can't go, baby. Anywhere you try to, you know what I mean? Anywhere your voice needs to be heard, we're going to shut that down. We don't want to hear from you no more because you offend us. How about we sit somebody like that on the stage and have a conversation with him? Make him hear all of what it is that you need him to understand so that he sees things the way you do. And if he opposes it, then you cancel him. Right? When you give him the information, then you get him out of here. If he can't seem to absorb that in time, I don't know what the right amount of time is. I ain't gonna say you're gonna get it right away, but I'm just saying, if they can't show us that they've changed after they get the information, okay, that's when you have to back away. But give that person a chance. I do agree with that side of his message. Give him a chance. Anybody a chance. Somebody a chance. Maybe not him, someone. But I'm saying, if we blanket this, that's all I'm trying to express. If we blanket this over everybody, we're going to get some good people that shouldn't be done this way. So, that's it. That is what I have to say. I'm not in support of the baby's comments as it pertains to what came out of his mouth. I do agree with the sentiment, though, or how I perceive it, which is respect yourself to the best of your ability. Not limited to anything I understand, but respect yourself. Take care of yourself. Be good to yourself. Take your body and hold the value that you hold to it true. You know what I mean? All that stuff that he was talking about you want to do in the parking lot, if that's what you value, I mean, my suggestion is to know your risk. You know what I mean? I wouldn't go as far as to say you should be looked down upon for what it is you choose to do. I would just say if you can look yourself in the mirror and do it, it should be cool with you. That's all that matters to me. Just know your risk. Know your risk. Protect yourself. That's really what he was trying to say. Maybe he don't perceive the landscape properly. Maybe he thinks it a certain way. Maybe he can only see a certain angle. Maybe he only has a certain stereotype that he can refer to in his brain. I have a bigger scope. So what? Sentiment the same. Protect yourself. Value yourself. Think about who you affect with your decisions. Know your risk. That's what I got from what he was trying to say. Did you get that? Or did you only hear the words? Because you can very well be offended by someone who means well with a good heart, who would lead you in the right direction if they knew how to speak to you. Did you give them a chance? See, that's where it's racism and certain things, that's where they part ways. Does a racist mean me any good? Let's think about this. Do the racist dude mean me any good in his statement toward me? Hell no, that's riddled in hatred. But did the sentiment that the baby have hatred in it? Or was it just riddled in ignorance? Not knowing any better. I'm not one to give you the answer to that, but that is the formula. That's the equation that we all need to responsibly figure out when we want to cancel somebody. Did it mean that? Is that where their heart was? Were they trying to mean harm toward us? And then through those words, we were able to understand that? Or did we take the words for what they actually mean and not see the error in the ways that person was using those words, trying to put forth great sentiment? Because I can tell you right now, someone who does understand the landscape, they can sell you a bunch of lies that sound great, that fall in line with everything that will never offend you and still send you the long direction. See it all the time. You canceling them? Nope, because they're saying the right words. Understand sentiment, y'all. Sometimes people mistake words. Sometimes people are pretentious. I do it all the time. I say words, just stupidity. Hey, we're flawed entities. Human beings are flawed. Our brains, not perfect. Got to see things, got to go through things to get things, got to have conversations with people, experience things to have feelings that'll make us care. You know? Just like somebody instilled in them the stuff that makes them hate you. They probably got that stuff from people they loved. That's why they hold on to it so close. It's love that's going to make them hold on to whatever it is you want them to feel too. Know that. My name is BDL44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.